What's going on, everybody? UCF Jaguar here with GenJag.com, and last Sunday, week 5, the Jaguars traveled up to Pittsburgh and took care of the Steelers, beating them by a score of 30-9 and helping us advance to a record of 3-2. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this game.
It's a foot race. Robinson and Browner, and it's Robinson who wins it. Touchdown, Jacksonville. His 14th win. Bortles with time, looking deep for Robinson.
So the Jaguars have been really up and down this year. One week you expect them to win and they lose, and the next week you expect them to lose and then they win big. And it's just been a weird season for the Jaguars, but luckily we are winning. Now going into this Pittsburgh game, it looked pretty tough, man. We just came off of a loss to the Jets, which at the time we thought was a horrible loss. But the Jets are 3-2 now, so they're not as bad as we really thought they were. And, you know, the Steelers, they're a great team. And pretty much when you hear about where the toughest places are to play, you think of Seattle and you think of Pittsburgh. But going into this game, you said, hey, if the Jaguars are somehow able to go into Pittsburgh and find a way to win, no matter how they do it, it could be by a final score of 6-3, 9-7. However, if they were able to find a way to go into Pittsburgh and get the W, it's going to be a good win. And not only did the Jaguars do that, but they went there and handled them. And it was mainly because of our defense. Our defense has been outstanding. If you look at our defense by the numbers, we're second in points per game with 16.6 points, third in passing yards per game, first in takeaways with 15 takeaways, and first in sacks with 20 sacks. And all the Jaguars' victories have come off of huge performances from the defense. You look into the Houston Texans game. We come out of that game with a franchise record of 10 sacks. That's a single game. I don't think that's ever going to be eclipsed this year, 10 sacks in one game. That was I think the second most in the NFL era. Then 2 weeks later, we go and play Joe Flacco, and we hold the guy to 28 passing yards, which was a career low by Joe Flacco. And 2 weeks later, we force Big Ben Roethlisberger to 5 interceptions, the most interceptions in his career. So this defense is absolutely nasty. And one thing that you learn about this team is that we are very dangerous if we force the other team into passing situations. You know, if we're up by a touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter, it's probably going to be good news for us because our defense is nasty in the pass game. We get pressure on the quarterback. We have a great cornerback tandem with A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. And, you know, with these guys, I'm not going to sit here and act like they're the top cornerback duo in the NFL just because I, don't watch all the cornerbacks closely around the league. But really, I feel like these guys had to be at least 2 of the top 5 cornerbacks in the league. I mean, these guys are, Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Bouye are playing absolutely shut out defense. You know what I mean? And when you look back at our draft class, or not our draft class, but our free agency class this year, we were able to get A.J. Bouye playing outstanding. Barry Church, he's also playing outstanding at safety. And Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell has been huge for the Jaguars. Even when this guy's not getting pressure on a quarterback or getting his name called, he's causing disruption. He's always doing something, wreaking havoc, blocking run lanes, all this kind of stuff. The dude is an absolute animal. And then you look at our 2016 draft class. The first 3 rounds, we were pretty much able to get outstanding players at each level of the defense. You had at the defensive end in the 3rd round, Yannick Ngakoue, absolutely outstanding pass rusher. At the linebacker, you got Myles Jack in the 2nd round. What a steal that was. And then we somehow got Jalen Ramsey at the number 5 overall pick in the 1st round. And you look at that, and if we were to do a redraft of that NFL draft class, all those guys would easily go into top half of the 1st round. I mean, what an outstanding haul by David Caldwell in that draft. And then every year we add all these different players to the team, and it never materializes. But now it's finally materializing, and our defense is really just outstanding. I mean, last game we were able to hold Le'Veon Bell down. You could tell they went in with a game plan. They bottled him up to I think 60 rushing yards, and he only had 15 attempts. Now, this game, I thought that Tomlin had a really bad game plan. For whatever reason, they rushed Le'Veon Bell like 15 times, and they had Ben Roethlisberger throw the ball over 50 times. I feel like he spent too much time looking at their defense and saying, okay, how are we going to get Blake Bortles to make mistakes? Because Blake Bortles was getting rushed like crazy. You know what I mean? There were so many blitzes going on. They were like really challenging him. But it's like they didn't give much respect on when it comes to our defense because, I don't know who the hell would throw as much as they did against us. But one thing that's nice is that Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin had this blueprint to win, and they said that the way they want to win is on offense, just to play a nasty, hard-nosed, run-first kind of team that's going to tire out a defense. They can stab through them and whatnot. And, that's what Leonard Fournette is. And I got to give some shout-outs to Chris Ivory. Chris Ivory's done really, really well this year. And Leonard Fournette and Chris Ivory, they're both kind of the same kind of runner when it comes to, power on that kind of stuff. But they both excel in different kind of ways. You know what I mean? Like, Fournette, for example, he's more of a, downhill runner that performs better in like kind of a gap scheme kind of thing where he can hit the hole and run hard at it. But on the other hand, Chris Ivory, he's better in zone blocking kind of things where you're able to give him the ball on a stretch and he's able to read it. And then, the first read is outside and then you read in. And then once he's able to find that hole, he runs through it very hard. So, I thought when we were looking at our team, I thought Yeldon might be the RB2 before the season just because I said, they're different, two different kind of style runners. But really the way we want to do it is just to have that power run game. You know what I mean? We want to have people that can, when Fournette gets out, we have another guy that goes in there that can really plow through a defense. And, that's how we're going to win, like, offensively. And then, going back to, like, what I said, the coach's blueprint is to win by a nasty, hard-nosed run game combined with a great defense. And we right now have a great defense. This is the AFC South is really, like, up for grabs this year. And our defense could very well lead us to this, to the AFC South crown. But with this blueprint, one big thing that it does is obviously minimize the amount of impact Blake Bortles has on the games. Now, in this game, he only had like one passing attempt the second half. When we had like our first drive or whatever, of the second half, we punted the ball away, and at the time, I believe we were like down like 9-7. But the very next time we got the ball, we had 13 more points on the board because of Telvin Smith, Barry Church returning those pick sixes. Now, obviously, there's a lot to work on the team, especially with the passing game. And, that's a combination of both Blake Bortles and the wide receivers. Both of them have to play better. Both of them, of course, Bortles missed some throws that game. And, of course, that one long pass to Marquise Lee. But he was able to get the ball into some areas and, help get some stuff going. But, the plan is to really minimize Blake Bortles. We all know what he is. So, hopefully, Blake Bortles, the way he's been playing all right when it comes to, like, pocket presence. I really like his escapability. He's been able to make some things happen with his feet and, like, move the chains that way. It's just, all on his accuracy. That's going to be a story all year. Kind of beating a dead horse with that one. But, we'll see how Blake Bortles does in the future. And these games really haven't had to rely on him much. Every win we have, we're going to say, oh, well, we can't rely on winning, that way every week. But 3 out of 5 games we've won pretty handily with our little recipe for getting wins. So hopefully we can keep that going. But one player who I thought had a really good game that's not really getting talked about much just because, he didn't get any interception or anything like that was Aaron Colvin. Aaron Colvin played very well. He was getting like pass breakups. He was getting a lot of tackles. I think he had like 9 tackles that game. He had like 2 tackles for losses. He really gets lost in this whole mix of our cornerback situation just because nationally everybody looks at Jalen Ramsey and AJ Boye. But our nickel cornerbacks of that group of 3 guys, man, it's great. And this is probably going to be Aaron Coleman's last year on the team just because they're, all teams are pretty much desperate for, not desperate, but 75% of teams would probably tell you that they could upgrade their cornerback unit. And Aaron Colvin is a #1 cornerback on many teams out here, so we'll enjoy this guy while we have him. But with all that said, that's all I got. This Sunday we have the Rams at Everbank. We're finally back at home. Last 5 games we played in 5 different cities, so it's going to be nice to be back home. Hopefully we can finally get that home victory at Everbank. You know, it'd be nice to win the way we've been winning at Everbank Field so all those fans can enjoy. And, you know, we're facing a young, inexperienced quarterback who's been playing pretty well lately. But hopefully our defense gets some pressure on these guys. But, you know, force some errant throws. But I'll be, of course, come out with a preview video probably Friday. But, you know, with all that said, that's all I got. This is UCF Jaguar with GenJag.com. Follow Generation Jaguar in the leaks down below. And I'm out.
Once you're beating your opponent who's in front of you physically and psychologically, they tend to get mad like that.